I guess good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. I met with Coach MacIntyre this morning and informed him that I had made the decision to bring new leadership for our football team. It was a difficult decision because Mike is a knowledgeable coach and he has really elevated this football team since he arrived in 2013. And that's not just wins and losses. He's focused on guiding young men to be good citizens, good fathers and husbands down the road. He's put a great emphasis on the academics, and his record GPAs are proof to that. Mike also believed in community service and led by example alongside his players. He and his teams work with the Be the Match program, which earned the school much national recognition. So what this came down to is that I wanted to see more consistency with winning seasons. Mike had an amazing 2016 season, and we really hoped that that kind of achievement would be continuous. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I will immediately begin the process of seeking a new head coach. I want to move quickly, but I also want to be very thorough to ensure that we get this football team back to national prominence. In the days and weeks ahead, I will not be commenting on the search until we have identified a new coach and we are ready to announce that. I would caution people to not go to social media for where I'm at, as I'll make sure that as I make a decision that I inform people, and when you hear it from me, then you'll know that it's the accurate information. Questions? Oh, thanks.
Rick, I guess why today as opposed to last week or even next week after the last game?
Well, it came down, at some point, right? I came to the decision last night. I met with the chancellor this morning to inform him of my decision. I talked to Mike late after that, and, it was just in my gut, it was the right thing. I wanted to do it now. I wanted to create a new energy for our football team. I can tell you, having met with our team earlier this morning, they're excited about this game this weekend. We want to go to a bowl game. That's what we're committed to. And I'm more energized after being around our student athletes this morning. And, it was just, in my opinion, it was a decision that I think I needed to make. And that's why I came to that decision last night and informed the chancellor this morning.
You talked about wanting to see more consistency out of winning. Was there a point when you saw this coming? Was the Oregon State game something that kind of played into this?
Look, I'm no different than most of our fans and our student athletes and our coaches. I think we were all disappointed after the Oregon State game. But again, I went into Mike on Monday and said, I support you. We have confidence in you. But as the next 3 weeks went by, in my gut, it told me that I needed to make a decision and I needed to bring on new leadership. I'm excited about the future of this football program with the student athletes that we have coming back and with the recruits that are out there. And I just felt like making a decision today gets me involved in hiring that new coach quicker.
Rick, obviously when you make a decision like this, it affects more than just Mike MacIntyre. It affects the staff, it affects the team. And I'd imagine walking in and talking to that group of young men this morning, guys in the roster, that's probably a tough conversation. Can you tell us kind of how that went and how those guys accepted the information?
Yeah, it's the worst part of my job, right, is to have to make a decision on a coaching change because it's not just the coach, it's those around him, it's people around the program. It's a hard decision to make. Telling the student athletes this morning wasn't easy, but I know where I want this program to go. I want to win Pac-12 championships. I want to win national championships. And I'm committed to that. And this is one of the great jobs in all of sport, to be able to go to school at the University of Colorado, to play in Folsom Field with that backdrop, to be in the conference that we're in, there's not a better job in America than here at Colorado. And so I'm committed to hiring the very best coach we can, and we're going to begin that search immediately. Yes, ma'am.
Speaking of that, what will you look for in a new head coach now?
You know, the most important thing is I want a coach that cares for the student athletes. That's why we come to work every day. We want to create this great experience for our student athletes. And so I want a coach that can be on the same level, that can talk to the players. I want them to be a great coach. They've got to be a great recruiter. At the end of the day, you need great student athletes on your team. And I want somebody that's got the right character, the right integrity, that are going to do things the right way. But most importantly, I want a coach that comes in here that sees the same passion about this place that I do. And I want somebody that's going to come in here and guide these young men to great things in the future.
In the last week or so, Mike has maintained that he hasn't felt any pressure for his job. How did he take it this morning? Was he surprised?
No, I don't. Look, Mike handled it with class, as you would expect, and we had a conversation, and you'll have to ask him, but he handled it with class, and that's what I expected from him. It's not an easy decision for myself, and it certainly was not easy for him to hear, I'm sure.
You said you made the decision last night. Did it have to do with the loss or the way the game was handled after or something after the press conference?
No, it really wasn't any of that. It was kind of more of a culmination of kind of where we were at that point. And sometimes, you think about things. I try to be, I'd like to have waited for the end of the season, but I just felt like I needed to make the decision now to maybe put some new energy in this team because we still got a lot to play for. And we're going to go out there and try to win and go to a bowl game. And that's our challenge, and that's our charge, and that's the charge I gave to the coaches this morning.
Rick, I guess, could you walk us through a little bit your decision-making process? Obviously, last year, I guess, ultimately a disappointing result, but was the Oregon State, in any sense, a bit of a tipping point for you? I mean, how did we kind of get to this point?
No, one game's not going to define how I make a decision. It's really the body of work. I was disappointed in last season. I don't think anybody around me doesn't know that because I want to win. I want our student athletes to win. I want them to be successful. And we're doing so many great things, but we hadn't won. And then when we get to this year, we're off to a great start, right? 6 weeks ago, we're 5-0, and we're one of the talks of the country. That's where Colorado should be every year, in every season. We should be the talk of the country. And we're not there, and that's why I made the decision, because we need to be the talk of the country in a positive way, and that's doing great things in the classroom, in the community, and on the playing surface.
Rick?
Yes, ma'am.
You referred to 2016 as a magical season.
I do.
And in your statement, in hindsight, do you kind of look back and think maybe that was too much magic, and you could have, with the delay in the contract, that give you a little bit of time to not have moved forward with such a big contract for so long?
Look, I don't have any regrets about where we were and what we did in 2016. We did have a magical year. We won some games that were tough games for us to win. We won when we had to win. And we had a coach that was the National Coach of the Year. And absolutely would have done the same thing today that I did back then. He deserved it, and his staff deserved that, and again, I got no regrets.
Rick, excuse me. I think unlike when Mac got here, I don't think this would be described as a complete rebuild for any coach that's coming in here. You've got the indoor practice facility in place now. For whoever comes in here, will there be an expectation or maybe some pressure to get results immediately?
Well, look, I think we've got an incredibly talented young football team, and I think we lose sight of that. I haven't. And I think it's important that we get somebody in here that has the same expectations I do, and that's to win. And I think we've got enough talent on this football team that we can beat anybody at any time. And again, that's why I made the decision, because I want somebody to come in to instill some energy and some enthusiasm into this team. Yes, ma'am.
For the second straight year, we have an early signing period for high school seniors playing football.
Yeah, who
Did-
made that decision? No.
Right, seriously. Did that have any, I guess, clout or any weight to your decision, knowing that we have some recruits who are already committed to play here, and there is a chance now with a new coach they could change their minds?
It certainly did come into play. Obviously, if we had a February signing date, maybe some of your decisions that you make are a little bit different. But knowing that that's on the horizon, that we have student athletes that are going to be visiting in a couple weeks, again, I think the extra week will allow us to go out and have those conversations. But you choose University of Colorado because of the history and tradition of this program, the community that we live in, the school that we learn in. I mean, that's why you come here, and none of that's changed. And so the early recruiting does have an impact on what we're doing, for sure.
Rick, obviously, this leaves some uncertainty for all those assistant coaches as well. Will you have any recommendations to the next head coach about keeping some of these guys, or do you leave that up to the head coach?
Well, again, I'll leave it up to the head coach. I'll certainly have some discussions with the head coach, whoever it is, as we're going through this process. I think we've got some terrific coaches on this football staff. And I'll make sure that whomever I'm talking to knows the quality of the people that we have on our coaching staff and in our department.
You talk about having terrific coaches on the coaching staff. Would you consider hiring from within for this new head coach, or no?
I'm going to look at everything. So I'll look within our staff, and I'll also look outside of our staff. And again, once we get to the point where it's time to make an announcement, then we'll see where it ends up.
Rick, would you like to bring up your...
Oh, yeah. So I'd like to bring up Kurt Roper, who I've asked to be the interim head coach. Kurt has a wealth and depth of experience. He's done a great job for us since he's been here. And I'm going to let Kurt make a few comments. And then if you have any questions for him, and then we'll both depart. So, Kurt? Thanks.
Yes,
Glad
sir.
you're up
Thank
here.
you. Good afternoon. Obviously, this is a tough day for a lot of people associated with the University of Colorado football. And, I learned at an early age, you always have to really be appreciative of who gives you your hat and whistle. And Coach MacIntyre gave us our hat and whistle as a coaching staff. And I think everybody is really appreciative of that. And obviously this is a tough day for his family. It's a tough day for a lot of other families involved with this university. But this is a great university with a lot of great young men on this football team that understands that we have another week in this football season. We have an opportunity to go out and win another football game. I really look at football at a football season a lot like a heavyweight boxing match, and you have 12 rounds. And here comes round 12, and we've got to be prepared for it. And it doesn't matter what happened in the previous round. So we have a week to prepare for a good Cal football team that obviously has won some big football games this year. And we're going to approach the week exactly like we have all year long. And that's to put in a lot of hard work to get prepared. We're going to do it with a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of focus, and we're going to go prepare to win a football game.
Relationship with Mike, does that add to this day and make it a little bit tougher for you, just knowing Mike for so long?
Well, sure. I mean, we're close friends and have been for 20 years. And we all understand when we got into this profession what this profession is like. But it doesn't make these days any easier when they happen. But for most coaches, it's not our first rodeo, right? It's not the first time that we've been through this. But he's a great man with a great family that we all obviously love and respect and appreciate the time we get to spend with him.
I know you just got the news about being the interim head coach, but would you consider throwing your name into the hat for the head coach?
You know, my job right now is to try to prepare this team to win a football game. And so when you do that, you really look at each day as its own day. So we're focusing on what we do on Sunday. Monday's going to come and we'll get with the players. We'll have a plan to prepare for Monday, and then we'll go through the week. But I think right now that it's a pretty singular focus, and let's figure out how to win a football game.
Curtis, you've been through this losing streak and trying to get things going, especially offensively. What do you feel like this team needs to try to get up off the ground this week and try to win a football game?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that go into that, and obviously we have to execute better, and it starts always with the quarterback position, you know, and I think we've got guys that are competing every day, and we'll go out and try to put the best plan together that we can for those guys to execute at a high level for us to score enough points to win.
Kurt, this is always a challenging position to be put in from the interim standpoint, because you take over a team, you're trying to get them bowl eligible, you're trying to win a football game next week, which was certainly a team's got to be focused in, and then you're dealing with 18 to 20-year-old, 21-year-old young men that've got emotions about this. So how do you kind of get them back rowing in the same direction now for this week leading up to the Cal game?
You know, I think you learn pretty quickly in football that most of these young men are pretty resilient. I got a 6-year-old son. Last Wednesday, he ran into a pole head first playing tag, and it didn't take him too long to bounce back, you know. And I think a lot of these young men are pretty strong-willed, and they understand what college athletics is all about. And obviously they respect and love Coach MacIntyre, but they've got a responsibility this week, and that's to prepare to win a football game.
Rick was asked about the early signing period. You have quite a few verbal commitments. How will you as a staff kind of handle recruiting here the next week and going forward?
You know, I think right now, really, we're really trying to lock in on 1 week right here, and this week is such an important week for this team to try to get bowl eligible to extend this season, and really that's been our conversation in the short amount of time we've had to talk.
You mentioned a lot of it starts with the quarterback position. We saw Steven, limp off the field yesterday. Do you, at this point, have any comment or know anything about his status for this week?
Right now, we're in a day-to-day situation. We'll know more, obviously, as we go through today, but get into the early part of the week.
Did you guys get any news or any information about the Cal game, if it's going to have to be moved due to the fires? Or
You know, that's probably a better question for Rick.
Yeah, we've had some conversations with the conference starting on Friday. We haven't received an update yet. I'm certain that by the end of the day, we'll have a conversation on where things lie. And once we do that, we'll certainly make sure that you're all aware.
Actually, I sent you an email. The air quality yesterday was 250, high. Today it was 125. So it's getting better.
Kurt, you talked about trying to get the guys ready to win a football game this week. How much of that work involves, maybe being a little bit of a psychologist this week for the guys? I'm sure there's a lot of frayed psyches on this team. The coaching change and the losing streak, how much of your job is maybe beyond the X's and O's trying to get this group together this week?
Sure. I think the first thing that a good coach does is his players play hard for him. And the way you do that is you do it through a lot of shared relationship time. And so we've got to find a way to get these guys to play hard, which I think they will. I think that's the most important thing. But I do think they understand what their responsibility is. And that's to go prepare themselves as best they can to go win a game. And I told these quarterbacks at the beginning of the year, our routine equals rhythm. And so whatever our Monday is, we do our Monday. Whatever our Tuesday is, we do our Tuesday. And if you have the mental toughness to do that, then you have the mental toughness to go compete at the level that you have. The first thing that breaks down on any athlete, or probably anybody, is their mind. So we've got to help them understand that this is a great opportunity for us, and they need to go compete and be really mentally focused with this opportunity.
I know this is obviously about the team, but was there any extra concern, especially with his son playing for the team, Jay MacIntyre, anything that you would say to him now as the interim head coach, or any concerns there?
Jay is obviously what a great young man, and this affects him really close, and so that's not going to be easy for him. So I do think that there needs to be a lot of conversation to help him through this, and it's not going to be 1 week for him. You know, this is going to be a process, but I do think Jay is a tough young man, and when it comes time to go play, he's going to be ready to go play.
Kurt, you've obviously been a play caller a lot in your career, and the last several weeks with the offense struggling a little bit. Will you this week continue to have Darren call the plays, or will you try to get involved with that a little bit more?
You know, I see my role right now as the interim head coach and trying to get, you know, all the things squared away that go with that.
Coach,
Last one.
just wanted to ask, you personally, why do you think you were chosen amongst everyone what makes you the guy for this team right now?
You know, again, that's probably a better question for other people. I was asked to do it, and I think with any football coach, when you're asked to do whatever it is, you know, I really look at a lot of us as soldiers. Our job is to salute and run uphill, and whatever our responsibility is, then we need to show up and do it at a high level, and that's what I've been asked to do this week, and I'm going to do it as best I can. Well, I hope I bring a lot of knowledge, and I hope I bring a mentality that there's nothing easy about football, and you have to understand that it's going to take a lot of effort. But in the end, I hope guys want to play hard. I said it earlier, whoever's played for me in the past, I hope they want to play hard for me, just like I want to coach hard for them. You know, I mean, we do what we do for those guys in that room. It's not just because it's football and what can it do for me. It's everybody in that room. Hey, I'm doing my job so you can be successful. You know what I mean? And so really, that's what I hope. I hope that I inspire guys to want to play hard and play at a high level.
Okay, unless either of you have a closing comment, Rick's got a basketball game to get to, Rick's got the meeting.
Great, thanks all for being here.
Thank you.